Welcome to DCP Talks, Episode 7. I will always feature my podcast on my website, www.authorstephencandace.com. You know, I've written a lot of books out there, and I have over 20 books on Audible. And you should check them out on my website. You can also get a free Audible if you like. Just go to the Audible section and there will be some credits, and just try it out. If you never did, you might like it. I would like to thank ALK Artwork for this episode. Now, before we would discuss two books and break down some of the books and the paragraphs inside that book, and then we're going to get a hold of the characters, and then we're going to talk about it, and then that's what we're going to do. You will always have the opportunity to give me your feedback, and you can email that at authorstephencandace@gmail.com. There you go. Thank you. Now let's get to it. Our first book that we're going to talk about is a book called Shilo. Yeah. Now this book is about Major Tom Shepard, and he is in the Union Army, and he's a soldier, and he's on his way to Fort Simpson. Now, Tom has been a liaison between the Comanches and between the government of the United States for the past 3 years. He's finally at the end of this, and we all know how that turned out. But now, so while Tom is at Fort Simpson, the president urges Tom to go and check out a town named Shilo. That's right. Now, Shilo is a lawless town. There ain't nothing in Shilo but murders and thieves and whatever you want, derelicts that's going to show up. They're in Shilo. Now, the president asks Tom to go there and clean it up and do whatever it takes. And that is where he meets Matt and Miss Kitty Wells. Now, those two characters in this book, as you'll find out, are very essential for Tom to actually make it through and succeed in cleaning up Shilo. Now, let's break down a little bit about Shilo. Shilo is a lawless town. Now, the president already knows what they want of Tom, and Tom has no clue. Just like the government, just like in any leader of the world, sometimes they seem to manipulate the situation. And that's what happens with some people. Now, what I would say is that, okay, I can't trust the government. I don't think you ever could. Now, once again, Tom is going to a place where he could die. Now, will the government ever let you go? It's almost like a mob boss. The job never seems to get done, right? Now, Shilo, it is a lawless town, but there are some upstanding citizens, and they live by the word of Bible. Praise the Lord, hallelujah. Now, but here once again, it's a lawless town. There's murders every single day. So how do you think Tom is going to have to deal with this? I think it's going to be a sticky situation. So now that's a little bit about Shilo. We'll break down some more in a little bit. Now let's talk about The Ungrateful Dead, Book 2. Oh, The Ungrateful Dead is actually a true story. Now, it's about a Confederate general, which he took his regiment of 500 men. They left Verde, Texas. And while they left Verde, Texas, they had to ride through Texas and cross the Rio Grande into Mexico. Then they had to cross back underneath Colorado. Then they had to ride up to Colorado Springs, and that is where they were supposed to outflank the Union soldiers. So that's the beginning of it. Now, while on their journey, when they crossed into Mexico, which is actually Comanche Pass, they run into a burial ground. Now, this is not your ordinary burial ground. Now, inside these teepees, there were treasure boxes, there was the carcass, there were artifacts, and the general with his men, they decided to desecrate these teepees. Once they desecrated everything and took it all, then they left and went and crossed back the Rio Grande and went up to Colorado Springs. Now here's the scary part. When they got to Colorado Springs to outflank the Union soldiers, they realized the Union soldiers had over 5,000 men. That is 10 to 1. Well, the general already knew his ass was whipped. So he talked to his men, say, screw this, let's go back where we came from. Let's go live rich and healthy lives. Okay, sounds good to me. Now, here's the problem. The problem is they left and they had to cross back to Rio Grande and go into Comanche territory. Do you honestly think there wouldn't be any sign of a trap? I mean, I don't know about you, but shoot, you got to get there, right? Now, the general with his men, why did they decide to take everything? So they took the gold and they destroyed shit. You know, I never understood the fact that people going to rob you, but then they had to destroy your shit. I just never understood that. Like, why? Now, the best part is the government is telling people that if people break in your home, let them take what they want so they will leave peacefully. Yeah, okay. I don't know about you, but that's called an old-fashioned open up a can of whoop ass. And then, woo, let's get it on. Somebody come in my house. First they got to contend with me, then my two dogs. Right. Now I understand about taking all the gold. And I do get it because, you know what? I have been there before in my life. I think we all have, where you took something that you shouldn't have. Now, you know what? There are limits. And I knew my limits once I got fired. Ha! Now, but you do know your limits and you do have to draw the line somewhere. Which brings us to secret and lies. Now, the major is going into Shilo. The major has to know that the government is lying to them. Like, how couldn't you know such a thing? He's going to trust the government? Okay, which Tom Shepard now, the government already knew what they wanted of him, right? Think about it now. So they were underneath false pretenses and not telling him the whole real story about why they wanted Shilo. Now, and then with the ungrateful dead, what about the general with his soldiers? What kind of lies and secrets were told there? You know there had to be a lot of secrets and lies for him to make it all the way through and then get there and then turn around and get back. You know, I always heard when it come to war, some soldiers are pretty damn nasty. And you know what? And now I think I believe it. Like Tom in Shilo. Now, Tom has good instinct. Tom has fought 2 wars. He's been chased and almost killed by Indians and other soldiers. So Tom knows whenever it's going to hit the fan. Tom is pretty smart. Tom makes sure that he understands there is a double way, one way and another way. You have to, otherwise you could wind up DED double dead. That's all there is to it. So Tom is a pretty smart cookie. And the one thing that he did was making sure, like, especially whenever you went into Shilo, you had to be confident. Think about it. What happens if you end up standing in the street? You're facing somebody and they're about to draw their revolver. Now, I don't know about you, but boy, you better be confident enough to, boy, be ready to shoot and click and go. Now, where the general ignored his instincts. He went ahead and took everything, destroyed everything, thinking he wasn't going to have to come back. Now, he put all of his men in danger. Now, do you think, honestly, if he would have went there and told his men, okay, I think that we're going to die, so let's just keep going and then we'll see how it ends. What do you think the soldiers would have thought about him? They'd have been, fucker, why did you ever do such a thing? But to me, that's what it's about. So it's trust, secrets, and lies. Now, why does it feel when you could be coming to the end of your life sometimes, you have a second way of thinking? Now, in Shilo, I think Tom thought that going to Shilo was going to be his resurrection. I thought this was going to be his, sunset with the house, chill out, meet a woman, just lay out in the homestead. That's what I think he was thinking in the back of his damn mind. Now, Tom had to know that the government had a hidden agenda for the whole thing. He would have had to suspected something, I would have thought. I mean, he was sent there to clean it up. What kind of task does it take to clean it up? Then, how about dealing with the people that do not comply? I mean, that's all there is to it. You don't have a choice, I don't think. I mean, and then you, 4, 3, now you take the general with his 500 men. They had to go back into Comanche Pass. So what do you think he was thinking? They are trying to get back to Verde, Texas, where they think they're going to live a rich and healthy life. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know about how healthy and rich they're going to be when they're dead. Or here is a sidetrack. What if they went to Mexico and just left everything, paid off the Indians or whatever? Or he did have 500 men. That is a lot of men. Now, what if he did, though, go back to Mexico and just live there? That is a possibility. That's what I think. And, the only good thing that Tom had was his instinct in keeping this the whole thing. He had to go to Shilo, and he had to know he had to have a backup plan so he could be ready for anything. That's the one thing about Tom. He was a proactor where the general was a reactor. Now, let's break that down. If you think about it, okay, you got a proacting and you got a reacting. That was one of my biggest things for management. Proact or react. Don't fuck it up. So, proact. Make a plan. Stick with it. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That's all there is to it. Sounds corny, but it's true. All right? Now, which brings it to, was it actually worth it for the general and his men? So let me get this straight. They took what was not theirs. They had to know that whoever it was that they took it from wanted back. Now, they thought what? They were going to ride 570 miles all the way back across the Rio Grande through Comanche Pass and then ride back to Verde, Texas like nothing ever happened? This is actually a very true story. And the truth about it is, they left Verde, Texas and crossed the Rio Grande and were never heard from again. That's the true story about it. So I just made a story about the untold story about the General Shilo and his men. So, I mean, if you think about the general having to go back and do all of this to get home, crossing, I like to ask him one question, how did it work out for you, Jeff? If he would have been the truthful with his men, maybe they would have made it back to Verde. Or maybe they just went to Mexico as rich fools. Read the book. Now, why do some people feel if they move, they get a new lease on life? Tom feels by him moving to Shilo that his life is going to change. I mean, think about it. He has survived 2 wars, Indian War, Soldier War. So he's hoping that he was going to live a long, healthy life. Now, everybody knows there is one small word when it comes to a new life and it comes to a new thing. And that is you have to be a little bit greedy for yourself. I don't trust anybody anymore. Even a relative of mine has done something deceitful. So to me, it makes no sense. I don't loan out money because I just don't think you're going to get it back. Okay, now we're going to talk about, was it worth it for the Shilo? Okay, Tom is walking into a lawless town where there's murders daily. He has to know that. He has to know that there is no protection for these citizens. He has to understand that the small word of kill or be killed, that is the law in Shilo. So he is pretty smart, right? You got to be careful too. It's just like the law, like all of a sudden when laws walk in, there's going to be dispute. And the people that do not comply, there's going to be a problem. Or someone damages your property and then you retaliate and you're the one charged. Makes no logical sense to me, right? You either. Now, how about the individuals that feel they're going to get a new lease on life? Okay, the Confederates felt they were going to take their money, go home, live long and healthy lives with their families, right? Tom must have thought he was going to get a whole new lease on life himself. I mean, think about it. He just has to go through hell to get through heaven. Which I don't know about you. After surviving what he did, I think I'd have just told the government to have a good day and see you later. really don't make any logical sense. Like I said, the government ain't done with you. It's like the mob boss. They just have another job for you to do. Now, I hate to welcome Tom back to reality, but that's wishful thinking. That shit ain't gonna comply. And everybody knows you can't trust the government. That's for damn sure. And you should have made sure of that. Now, once again, which brings us to regret. Now, how do you think about this now? How can someone regret something when they know the consequences and they did it anyways? You know, that's just ballsy when you really think about it. Look at the general stealing the Indians' shit. And they're not going to say that they were going to regret it when they're going to look at 10,000 Indians, or 1,000 Indians. Like, what were they thinking? How can you sit there and say you're going to regret something and you can't? Now look at Tom and Shilo though. Tom's been through 2 wars, and Tom has fought Indians and fought other soldiers. He has killed multiple upon men. But, so Tom has no room for regret. When it comes to death in the old West days, I think you just had to let it go, unless it was someone close and you didn't mean to do it. Now, there is no such thing as regret as far as Tom is concerned. He's dealt with his demons. He don't have a choice but to let that shit go. That's how I would look at it. You have to, right? Now, once again, here we go, consequence shit. That consequence word, right? The major had to understand that there was going to be consequences from the Indians. He had to understand that to tell his men that they are going to die if they are caught. So they're going to ride as fast as they can through Comanche Pass and to get their ass back into Texas. Now, I don't know about you, but man, there's been a lot of trails back then of Union soldiers, Indians, and then the Mexicans, not to mention other town folk that just trying to protect what is theirs. So that's a lot to do with after stealing something and then going back home. And that would be like Tom Shepard, knowing he has to go into Shilo. What happens when he's standing there facing somebody up and down? It's a deadly situation. It's either you or him, and that shit's on. So to me, Tom has to know his limits as well. And that is why Matt comes in so handy in Shilo. Because Matt and Tom together are like a stick of dynamite shoved into a hole. Boom! They both take care of business. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that's something to be looking forward to reading it. So whoever doesn't comply, these two will take care of it without a doubt. Now, both stories, even though they're Western, remind me about a movie, Baby Driver. And if you've never seen it, you have to. Amazing movie. It's a must. Now, let me tell you about Baby Driver. Just because you have the perfect plan, just because you have the perfect people, just because you have everything set up in the perfect time, but all it takes is one fraction of altercation to change everything. That's all it's going to take. All it's going to take is one thing to change, and next thing you know it, things have to change, which could cause a terrible ending instead of a successful ending. That is why we do not know which path we're going to go, left or right, like Baby Driver. It's the same thing with Tom Shepard. You have to know your enemies. You can't just walk in without a plan and make sure it's perfect. The Confederate soldiers thought they had a perfect plan, but they failed to really plan, so their plan failed. That's all there is to it. Or did it in their mind? Or did they end up taking off and going into Mexico? Now, in both stories, there are many characters which you're going to like the general, the major in Ungrateful Dead. Now, you're also going to like in Shilo, you're going to like Miss Kitty. So sweet, but there's not a lot of nice people in Shilo, like I said before. But when it comes to these characters, there are so many characters and they are so well done that you're going to be drawn into them. They're going to pull you in about their life and you're going to want to know more about them. So that's the best part about it is, and I think you can do it. Now, you can always give your thoughts or any questions. Just send them to me at authorstephencandace@gmail.com. We're going to talk about 2 recipes of the week. Our first recipe we're going to talk about is a good old burger with a little bit of barbecue sauce. So what you're going to need, the ingredients, is a pound of beef, ground beef, or whatever you're choosing is, 1/4 cup of barbecue sauce, 4 slices of cheese if desired. So you're going to mix up the hamburger with the barbecue sauce in a nice bowl, and then you're going to form out 4 patties. You're going to light your grill, and you're going to go ahead and cook those burgers 5 minutes on each side. And if you desire a slice of cheese, slap that cheese on it, let it melt. While it's melting, I like to toast my buns. Some people don't. Butter it up and toast them right on the grill. Hot damn, put that burger on and gone, baby. How about some good old-fashioned baked beans barbecue style? You're going to need 2 cans of baked beans, any choice of yours. You're going to take 1 onion, dice it up in squares. You're going to take 1/4 cup of green pepper, diced. You're going to take a tablespoon of molasses. You're going to take 1.5 cups of ketchup, and you're going to take some garlic, give me a tablespoon of garlic, and give me some salt, give me a pepper to your choice. You're going to mix all that up, and then you're going to, first of all, for preparation style, you're going to saute your onions and green peppers for about 10 minutes. While you're mixing everything else, let it cook. Then you're going to pour that into your mix it all up, line a bread pan like you're making bread, or a flat dish, whichever one. And then you're going to line it with parchment, and then you're going to pour the baked beans into it. You're going to cook them on 325 for 1 hour. Then you're going to pull them out and let them sit for 10 minutes. Make sure you cook them uncovered. That is the best way, and yum, yum, you will love that, I promise you. Now, this episode of Things That Make You Go Home. You know, I'm a person that always looks at a glass half full instead of half empty. I'm an optimist. I'm that knight in shining armor, or that sheepdog that is watching the sheep from the woods. Now, you know what bothers me at this moment is, why do I feel I have to protect everything? Why do I have to feel vulnerable even in my own house, where all of a sudden now everybody out here, we're using cameras, we're using baseball bats, we're using whatever we got in our house to defend ourselves. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is almost like Shilo. If things keep going the way it is, hell, that's the way it's heading. It will be a dog-eat-dog world, and that's a shame. This week with ownership. Let's take you, wonder why seniors or old people are cranky or miserable or not. We have worked so long and had to take so much shit our whole lives. We are sick of listening to someone tell us what to do. We are sick of someone telling us which way to go. Like, we're done. We're sick of it. We don't want to hear it no more. So we're straight to the point. We're not beating around the bush. Yeah, we're damn straight, and we don't give a good goddamn of what we say. So that's what it is. Has nothing to do with anything. We are just sick of dealing with it, and now we're watching our country just fall apart. And we're the ones who paved the way. So that sucks. So to us, yes, it's very not cool. Now, let's get to this week's quote of the week. This week's quote of the week: if you're going to ride like lightning, you can crash like thunder. Always remember, if you're going to ride like lightning, you can crash like thunder. Yeah, I gotta like that. Now, let's enjoy ourselves and have a great week, and I hope you read a new book. That is one of mine. Now, next week, episode 8 is going to be about paranormal. And that sponsored episode is by Sparkle and Soar, and you can find them on Facebook. We will chat with you soon. Holla. You guys go out there and have a great week. And let's get ready for this next adventure, okay? DCP is out.